Alright, this is a long-term review of the Canyon Aeroad CFR from 2025. By far the best bike I've ever owned, except this isn't actually the bike that you can buy from Canyon. Let me explain. So I bought this bike beginning of the year, end of last year. I think I've put about 3,000 K on it since then. But since I bought it, I've changed nearly every single component on the bike. The only thing that's stock is now some of the parts of the frame. Everything else has been changed. So the base build that comes on this is the brand new SRAM Red. There's no point going into details of that. There's plenty of reviews on that. It's phenomenal. Zipp 454 NSWs. Great wheels, but probably now a little bit outdated, and we've all seen photos and videos of Tom Pidcock's new Zipp wheels, so we know they're going to come out with a new one, probably with a slightly wider internal rim width, and then full aero frame. And this frame is brilliant. I was a bit worried that it might be too heavy, but it's not. I think the full weight on this is something like 7.1 kilos, but it's nice and fast, it's agile, gets going off the line absolutely beautifully. The stock build is pretty spot on, and I think you're looking at 16,000 Australian when you buy it for that. For the price, nothing can compete with that. Except that's not all you're going to pay, because you're soon going to start changing just about everything that comes on it. So let's run through what I've had to change and why. The basics first. New saddle, personal choice. They come with a 3D printed Sella Italia one. I tried it, just wasn't for me. So saddle, we can't hold that against Canyon. At the top next, we're going to go with the handlebars. Now Canyon offer the flared aero extensions, which allow you to get a little bit more narrow. I think it goes down from 37 almost 35 centimeters, and then it has the flare. If you're gonna buy one of these bikes, do everything you can to get these handlebars. They are by far the best upgrade that you can make to this bike. The drop is really shallow, so you really don't move much when you are down in the drops. It extends the reach by about a centimeter, I would say, but it just fits you into a really beautiful hugging position, and it helps with the ergonomics on the shifters. This is a fantastic upgrade. When I bought the bike, I had to wait 2.5 months before these were in stock before I could buy them. So that was annoying, but it's since now been remedied. Computer mount, it's the Gear Groove one that comes for these bars. All I wanted was the mount. I couldn't buy the mount, they didn't have any in stock. The only way I could do it was to buy the one with the Canyon integrated light. This bad boy, it is a beast, it is massive, it is heavy, and I have absolutely no choice but to run this if I want to use a light on this bike, because unfortunately they don't offer a GoPro mount underneath. I'm pretty sure, honestly, within a couple of weeks I'm going to be hot gluing a mount underneath of some sort, just so I don't have to run this bad boy. It's giant. But you're locked into their ecosystem with the Gear Groove mount, so just bear that in mind. Tires on the wheels, they came with 28mm P0s, which are fine tires, I guess, but I mean, these wheels are actually aero optimized for 25mm, so it tells you how narrow the internal rim width are. But the road surface around by me is horrific, so I run 30mm GB5000s for comfort, and there might be a slight penalty on that, but comfort over speed at that point for these. So love these tires. Crank length, common thing these days. Obviously you can't spec that at all with Canyon, so I'm currently running the 165s, but they're Force, not red, because I haven't been able to source any of the red cranks. Next is probably my biggest gripe about this bike. This has been advertised as the fastest bike in the peloton, Jasper Philipsen, Matthew Van Der Poel, everything like that. But the stock gearing that comes on this is a 48-35 front, 10-28 rear. I don't know. I don't know who that gearing's for. That's not... If you're going to have a 48-35 on the front, you may as well have a 10-33 or 36 because you're doing hill climbing. But for a sprinting bike, that front chainring is rubbish. And if anybody from Canyon is watching this, give you the option to buy the chainring at the time of purchase and just stick it in the box. Like, I'll fit it with a new chain, that's fine. Give me an option at the very least for a 50-37, preferably a 52-39, and then even like a 10-26 on the rear. It's a bike that's designed for outright speed, and that front chainring is just like, it's like a sports car in like a limp home mode. It's kind of rubbish. So this is going to be changed. This is still the 48-35. I just haven't been able to fully decide what ratio I want to go on the front. Probably going to do a 52-39. I think that might be a sweet spot, and I'll keep the 10-28 unless I can source a 10-26. The rear light that you buy with this, it clips onto the rear seat post, and it's also magnetic. That works really well. Can't fault it. It's tidy. It's USB-C, so it charges with everything else I own. So can't fault that. So since I've bought it, there's been a whole raft of changes. I would still like to change more. I would like to get my saddle position further over the bottom bracket, but Canyon have only just released a seat post that allows you to get the saddle further forwards. So this is still, may as well be a -15, I think it is, but they have just released a new seat post, but there's no point me buying that yet because the stem at the front, they still don't have any of those options in stock. I'd need at least a 120, maybe even a 130, but I can't get any of those, so there's no point me changing the seat post. So that is what it is for the time being. But since I've owned this, I've done just about every type of riding you can imagine, from the big alpine region mountains around outside of Victoria, fast twisty little local laps with mates and things, and I've even got a Fondo this weekend for 3 peaks that I'll be riding this. Based on the weather this weekend and a potential cyclone, I'll be trying to figure out how to strap mudguards onto it, which will be a bit of a look. But as far as overall, I came from a SL7 S-Works and then a Factor Ostro VAM. This is by far been the most enjoyable bike that I've ridden to date. It's super responsive, it's comfy, it feels easy when you're getting it when you are up at speed. It doesn't feel like you're fighting it at all. Because of the depth of the wheels and the depth of the tubes, when you do get a pretty good crosswind, the bike moves a lot, and you have to be prepared for that. But as long as you know it's going to happen, it's no issues. Sprinting, it's great until you get to about 50k an hour and then you run out of gears. But that should hopefully be resolved. But I'm keen to know if anybody else is thinking of buying one of these, what options would you actually spec on it? Should you be able to buy some additional options even for them to put in the box? They just released their new Canyon My Canyon program where you can get some different colors, cool, where you can choose different wheels, but I think you just choose between the 454s and the DT Swiss. If I had a choice, I wouldn't particularly buy either, and you could buy a different stem length, but you still can't change any of the stock gearing which comes on it, which really you should be able to buy. Honestly, if it's an aero bike, let people at the very least spend the money because we're saving it on the base price. The paint on this though, I love it. The black sparkly, everybody loves it. You see it in the sun, it's fantastic. no complaints there for myself. But let me know what your thoughts are. Are you thinking of buying one? Is there anything you want to know? Is this, the best that money can buy at the moment? Depends at what point you want to stop buying things. And we'll see. We'll see if I can get the parts to upgrade it any further. But any questions, let me know in the comments down below. Let me know if there's anything that you'd like to see them do to it. And also, if you could spec the gearing on this, what ratios would you go with? Let me know.